goodness for that. But this is the third incident this week, the third accident involving cyclists and London buses, and one of the cyclists in Croydon unfortunately died in hospital later that afternoon. Let's go to Tom on the line. Hello, Tom. Good morning.
Hi, Vanessa. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. I mean, when you hear this conversation, it must bring back some pretty vivid memories for you.
Yeah, it's let's say my response is visceral. I feel it viscerally.
Yes. You were hit by a bus yourself. How did it happen?
Yeah, I was on the pavement on Oxford Street on the corner, and the wing mirror of a bendy bus going at least 20 miles an hour. The speed limit on Oxford Street is 30. I hit the back of my head and then threw me into the side of it, which basically pops both my lungs and cracks my head open.
Oh.
Yeah, I went straight to coma.
Oh, gosh. Goodness.
It's a near-death coma. When the ambulance came a half an hour later, I had no pulse and was bleeding out of my ears and my mouth.
Oh, my goodness me.
Yeah, I was dead. Thankfully, I was saved by Hamza bin Khada, a high school student from Hackney.
Really?
Yeah, he had just been trained under the Duke of Edinburgh's program, and he saved my life.
What did he do?
Well, the Hillingdon disaster showed you that if you weren't in the recovery position, you would choke to death on your own blood as you were, because of your trauma.
Yes.
And he basically cleaned out my airways and put me in the recovery position and waited by my side until the ambulance showed up 30 minutes later, and then he took off, went home covered in blood.
Wow. How did you find out it was him?
The Evening Standard did a story about me in March 2011. And he was on way home from school. He looked at it and said, oh, my God, I know that guy. So, yes, I'm friends with the family. He's been to my house, yes, and he's yes. I went from the unluckiest person in the world to the luckiest person in the world in the space of a second.
My goodness me.
Yeah.
Can you explain why you were hit? What happened?
Oh, I was the 15th person killed or seriously injured by a bus on Oxford Street that year. I was the second person hit by an Arriva bus that day. Mm-hmm. Bus collisions, Leon Daniels says we're not complacent. They repeat that like a mantra, but they are. They take a view that if you're killed or seriously injured by one of their buses, that's your fault. And that's one of one of the collateral damages of running a very efficient bus system.
But when I say, Tom, how were you hit by a bus? I mean, obviously, you and the bus collided at some point.
Yeah.
But did that mean that you walked out into the path of an oncoming bus? Did it mean you were standing in the road and the bus plowed into you?
I told
did
you
it mean the bus driver didn't see you?
I was still on the pavement. I was on the curb, and the mirror of the bus was overhanging the curb. That happens all the time.
What? Explain again. What do you mean the rear of the bus was?
No, the mirror. The mirror of the bus.
So you were hit by the mirror?
Yes, the mirror of the bus hit me on the side of the head and threw me into the side of the bus.
Oh my God! So did the driver subsequently say that he didn't see you?
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the report, he said he didn't see anything.
And should he have been able to see you?
Of course. If you're driving down Oxford Street on the busiest shopping day of the year, the last Friday before Christmas,
yeah,
at a time that's 8:15 in the evening, and Oxford Street is heaving with people, mm-hmm. You shouldn't be driving a 16-ton vehicle 20 miles an hour at least down that street.
No. So you were standing on the edge of the curb, waiting to cross the road
precisely.
when you were struck, almost fatally, by the mirror of a 16-ton bus.
Happens a lot more than the mellifluous voice of Leon Daniels would like to let you know.
My goodness, my God! How long did it take you to get to the point of recovery? I mean, I don't know how you are now, for example. How are you?
I'm talking to complete strangers on the radio. Do I sound recovered?
You sound all right, but I don't know how you are physically.
No, I physically. I mean, basically, like I said, it popped to both my lungs and cracked my head open. So I had obviously brain trauma and lung trauma, which, I was in a very deep coma through Christmas and New Year's of 2009, 2010.
Right. I mean, I almost don't like to vulgarize the discussion by asking if you were paid a decent whack of compensation.
No, I didn't even file a claim.
You didn't file a claim?
I didn't even waste my time. Look, come on, plaintiff rights, personal injury in this country is a joke. And plaintiff rights, I mean, this is one of the reasons why. I mean, trust me, in the United States, it'd be too expensive to run a bus. The way the TfL does. You're killing too many people. And, no, I didn't waste my time filing a claim. It took the police almost 3 years to find any evidence. They didn't interview any of the witnesses.
Oh, my goodness.
No, this is what you have is a systemic problem here. When Leon Daniels talks about blameworthy, here's a stat that's interesting. If you kill someone with your car in London, there's a 35% chance you'll be convicted of some sort of something by the CPS.
Yeah.
If you kill someone with a TfL bus, which is 10 times the killing power of your car, there's only a 13% chance you'll be prosecuted. Not convicted, prosecuted, and a much less chance that you'll be convicted. This is a systemic problem. We have, basically, if you're killed by a TfL bus, the chances of you getting any justice. When I was so happy to hear that Sarah Hope's driver was convicted, he was one of the very, very few in the last 5 years.
May I ask, do you think that in the case of what happened to you and in most of the cases that occur, it is simply human error of some sort?
Look,
are you implying it's something more sinister than that?
Absolutely. Some would say sinister as such. TfL rewards its bus companies, private bus companies, on the basis of something called quality incentive contract. Okay? That has nothing about safety, nothing about danger reduction. It's all about time. TfL runs a very efficient bus system, but it kills and injures a lot of people.
Okay, now I have a statement here from TfL, which obviously I must read in response to what you have said. And this is it, and then I'll hear what you have to say in response to that, if you wouldn't mind. Mike Weston, TfL's Director of Buses, said, any death or serious injury involving the bus network is deeply felt by us, and we do everything possible to minimise such incidents. The proportion of road traffic accidents involving London buses which results in an injury is actually very small, at 6% and falling. Collisions with pedestrians has fallen by around 40% since 2008 to 9, and fatal collisions have been reduced by about 60%. However, there is no room for complacency. We are working with pedestrian, cycling and safety stakeholders to further bear down on such incidents, improving the design and engineering of roads and junctions, reducing traffic speeds and raising awareness of road safety risks and safe behaviours with prominent public campaigns. We are always keen to involve London Assembly colleagues in this work and already publish the latest data on a regular basis.
So, I mean, what can I tell you? TfL has decided not to answer any more of my freedom of information requests. I have not had a freedom of information request that I've filed, and I've filed a bunch since August, and none of them have been answered, not even an explanation why. So, in terms of the statistics that Mike Weston's quoting, 83% increase in fatalities from collisions involving TfL buses last year.
Tom, thank you very much indeed for calling. I mean, I don't know what you make of that call. I mean, obviously he was incredibly badly injured while standing on the pavement in Oxford Street. He hadn't even begun to cross the road. You heard what happened to him, poor fellow. You heard how angry he is and how contemptuous and derisive he is of the things that London Transport say in response, or TfL say in response. Let's go to Jason in North Kensington. Jason, you're a bus driver. Good morning and thanks for calling.
Yes.